It's called adventure riding for a reason. Why would you ever book a tour? As a new rider, that was my attitude. I had the maps, the GPS files, and virtually unlimited online resources through adventure forums and Facebook groups. Then I actually set out from Utah to Canada, down the west coast of the United States to Mexico, and back to Utah all by myself. And it was certainly not the experience I had dreamed of. It was an eye-opener though, and I learned a lot about adventure travel, about myself, and about what I really wanted during a motorcycle adventure. I'll have to post a video about that soon, but the short of it is that even though I had the GPS tracks and the resources, as a solo rider, I didn't dare stray too far from the highway. And the routes I did dare take were often misleading, either too difficult to do on a loaded adventure bike or a dirt fire road with not much in the way of scenery. So to be honest, it was kind of a bust. That is, until I met and rode with people. The tedium of the endless highway was broken up by meeting new and awesome friends and riding with those friends to see the very best of what their towns had to offer. And that's probably the biggest factor in what changed my attitude about paid adventure tours. Finding things on your own can be rewarding, but it can be time-consuming, and when you're alone, far away from home on a loaded-down dirt bike, risky. Having a local in your corner, whether a friend or a paid guide, is always well worth it. Now, you definitely don't have to book a tour to have an adventure. Everybody knows that. But on my past tours with Rocky Mountain Rides and my recent tour to Colorado with Rocky Tracks, I realized that touring with a group and a guide is well worth the money for 7 big reasons. The first reason is your time. Let's face it, we don't have a lot of it. It's why you buy produce from a supermarket even though you could grow it yourself for a lot less money. Most of us are family guys with jobs and limited time off, the lion's share of which is spent on family vacations. The very limited time that we might be able to get away for a solo motorcycle tour is far better spent riding on the best trails instead of looking for them. It took Andy from Rocky Tracks several years to find good routes through southwest Colorado. It has taken me 4 years to find the best unmapped trails in southwest Utah, and I'm still finding new ones. Routing the most scenic trails suited to different styles and skills and motorcycles is hard work. Reason number 2 to go guided is that you know what you're getting into. A solo adventure can be a blast, but I've been on a lot of rides, both solo and with friends, where a simple wrong turn soon turned into something that was way over my head. Trails touted as advanced on a forum might be perfectly suitable for a beginner on a lighter dual sport. Likewise, a trail marked as intermediate by the Forest Service may be far more difficult than one would expect or be ready for. Maps are great, but they are no substitute for a guide with recent experience on that trail. With a guide, those risks are mitigated when the guide bases the trails you take on what you are comfortable with. Trust me, you do not want to be here. Reason 3 is that you get to know people. Instead of riding alone and assuming the risk that comes from that, you ride with a group of like-minded adventurers. Like I said earlier, it's hard to get time off to ride, and coordinating time off with a friend who has the same restraints is even harder. Riding with strangers at a rally or a guided group ride is a surefire way to turn those strangers into riding buddies. Many of the riders who attended rallies and tours with me have become lifelong friends with both me and the other riders, and that has been awesome to be a part of. Reason number 4 is for the local perks, and it's a pretty potent metaphor for the riding as well. When you go to a new town, where do you get the best, most authentic Mexican or Italian or barbecue? Do you risk a day of food poisoning by cheaping out at the gas station dive? Or do you hit up the crowded national chain like all the other tourists? Or do you go the ultra budget route and just hit up the dollar menu at McD's? In my town, the Yelp ratings are about the same for the national chains versus the really good local eats. And why is that? Because tourists who don't know any better leave the reviews. It's kind of like this.
Like right here is my favorite New York pizza joint. And I'm gonna go get me a New York slice.
Or how about the accommodations perks? A guide may get you a discount on accommodations, or at the very least, save you from the hassle of finding some for yourself. There are also other perks to listening to a local as well. For example, Not many know that there was a huge bedbug infestation that affected just about every hotel in St. George. That's something that you may want to know when visiting, but the hotels will obviously never tell you that. The fifth perk is that you get other services that aren't available on your own. For example, film services. You can't really film yourself. Or repair services, or even having somebody along just to haul your bags and your tools. Many tours have support vehicles with full first aid kits and tool kits and emergency transport should something go wrong. They know how to get to local hospitals and which hospitals are best, and procedures for search and rescue if those services are needed. Emergency transport provided by a support vehicle is pretty much included in the cost of a tour. If you're riding solo and depend on public emergency services, you could be looking at tens of thousands of dollars in transport costs alone. Even if your guide is nothing but backup emergency transport, it could be worth it to hire one. The sixth reason is that after your guided tour, you will feel much more comfortable riding in that area, even if you ride by yourself. For example, since touring with Rocky Mountain Rides on Colorado's Alpine Loop, I've felt confident enough to go back 4 different times and even guided my own rides with my friends. I also know where to stay and good places to eat and truck-accessible emergency routes from the trails if we need them, and I've even branched off to go explore new trails in that area. Even if a tour only gives you a general overview of the area, you'll be able to navigate and prepare much more effectively should you decide to go back on your own in the future. The seventh and final perk is that you may actually save money in a few different ways. Your guide will most likely show you the best value for food and repairs should you need them, and lodging and all that stuff. You might also save money on equipment if it's provided with the tour. For example, instead of having to buy your own personal locator beacon or pay a subscription fee for an emergency transponder, your guide should have one and will handle those fees. Instead of buying a new DMC mesh intercom, your guide might provide one. Instead of buying and transporting and hauling all of your own tools and tubes and first aid and snacks all on your own motorcycle, your guide can and should handle those things for you. Then again, not all tours are created equal. You should check out Barry Morris's recent review of an ill-fated tour to the high country by clicking the card in the upper right corner. That is an example of a tour that you probably want to watch out for. Now, you'll have to pardon the shameless self-promotion here, but I'm going to use my new weekender rallies as an example. The average weekend hotel price in St. George is about $120 per night after the fees. Then let's say you spend $10 for breakfast, $10 for lunch, and $20 for dinner, so you want to eat out nice. So your daily food and shelter comes to about $180 per day if you want to come down here and ride on your own. Then you look at one of my weekender rallies. On a weekender rally, you get all of your food at the best local eats in town. Lodging is in a 2,200 square foot moto mansion with a massage chair, a hot tub, a 110-inch theater screen, a laundry room, secure garage with tools and air and liquids and spares for your motorcycle. You'll also get a DMC mesh headset from Scala where you get to keep the noise-isolating headphones. You'll get a limited edition t-shirt, all the trail snacks that you want, local knowledge of the best unmapped trails in southwest Utah with 4K film services. You'll get PLB emergency service, support vehicle backup, discounts on motorcycle rental from Canaan Motorsports, and discounts on professional coaching from pro racer Skylar Howes. And not only that, but I'll shuttle you around town and give you all of the man hugs you can handle. And all that costs $150 a night for patrons or $200 per night for non-patrons. As for the location and what you'll see on this tour, well, all the footage used in this video was footage from previous tours, so that's what you can expect. In conclusion, there's nothing wrong with adventuring alone or finding your own trails if you have the time and resources. But riding with a tour will generally get you out on the best trails suited to your riding ability and ensure that your time is well spent. You'll eat the best food and have good accommodations for a solid value. You'll ride lighter and safer with a lot more confidence and probably with a lot less stress about where to go or what to see. And honestly, the best part, you'll probably meet some really great new friends. And with that, I will also shamelessly announce that the new Weekender Rally formats are live and open for booking for this upcoming fall, winter, and spring seasons at everrideadv.com/shop. It's only $200 to reserve your spot, and there are now 3 different styles of rally, so make sure you look at what those entail. There's Scenic, which is for bigger bikes and easier riders with an emphasis on scenery. There's Schooling for beginner and novice riders who want to up their skills. And then there are Shreds for seasoned riders on smaller dirt machines who want to experience the best of the Badlands. If you can make it out, I would love to ride with you, and whether you ride with me or not, have fun, ride safe, and remember, you can do this. Much love, eveRide out.